Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Stoop here on Spreaker and on StoopRadio.com. I am your host, Jonathan Ragus, and alongside me, as always, is Jeff the Shark Porrini. What's going on? I almost called you John Porrini.
John Porrini, Jerk Porrini. Good to be here. Thursday night in the house, The Stoop. NFL free agency beginning today. Lots to talk about today, and very excited.
Absolutely. We got some good things to talk about, and we want to apologize to everybody because we're experiencing some technical difficulties with our phone call system. So we're going to be calling Christian Lees, our guest tonight, actor Christian Lees from CMT's Sun Records. We're going to be calling him. It's something we normally don't do here, so we want everybody to just bear with us, and we're still going to have a good time. But you know what? In life comes mistakes and comes accidents, and we're just going to roll with it like we usually do, huh, Jeff?
How are you? We're the Cleveland Browns of radio shows right now.
Oh, yeah. I say I like the Houston Texans. I say Lolos, like the Cleveland Browns. Oh, but we'll talk about that another time.
But stand right out there in the air.
Your favorite person in the world. All right, so we're excited. It's Thursday night. Tomorrow's Friday. We might get some snow here on the East Coast, which means hopefully schools will be closed. Let all the kids be out, playing in the snow, nailing each other in faces with snowballs and having a good time. But they probably won't be because they'll be inside playing video games.
Something about saying nailing each other in the face with balls.
I said snowballs. Watch your mouth, young man.
Okay, missed it.
Well, Tuesday night we had a great show. Our good friend, actor Dominic Pace, stopped by once again here in the Stoop, and we talked to him about his upcoming episode of NBC Superstore. We had a really good time with him talking about that. We talked some New York Mets baseball. He's a big Mets fan like I am, so that was really cool. I know you didn't really like that too much, Jeff, because you're a Phillies fan. But what can you do?
It's the spirit of competition. That's what makes it great. If there was no such thing as competition, we'd all watch one team. They'd play against themselves.
Snowballs and things. What's going on here tonight? So in a little bit, our guest of honor is going to be joining us, and he is actor Christian Lees from Country Music Television's TV show Sun Records. And Sun Records is based on the $1 Million Quartet session between Carl Perkins, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash back in 1956, December 4th to be exact, at Sun Records Studio in Memphis, Tennessee. And it was just a nice little jamboree they had together, and it's world famous. Everybody knows about the $1 Million Quartet sessions. And Christian portrays the killer himself, Jerry Lee Lewis, which is really cool. And he got a chance to meet Jerry Lee Lewis, and we're going to get to talk to him about that in just a little bit. But today is also the start of free agency in the National Football League. And this is something Jeff and I love, so we're sorry to everybody. This is going to be a little bit heavy on the NFL side tonight. And then we get to Christian Lees, and then we're probably going to go back into NFL stuff. So all the fans of Sun Records, don't worry, he's going to be here, I promise. So let's jump into some of these signings and some of these moves today. Crazy stuff going down, man. Crazy stuff. We had some signings yesterday. And today, just going to list some of these. We're not going to go in any particular order, but we are going to talk about some of the highlights, Jeff. One of the biggest highlights of the day being the Houston Texans able to trade away their quarterback, Brock Osweiler, who I think it was like $16 million, correct, on his deal for next season. And they found somebody to take him. And this guy is a bust. He's a complete bust. He was awful in Houston. And they found somebody to take him in the Cleveland Browns, which I don't think we should be too shocked about that. But in order for that to happen, the Texans had to attach a second-rounder and a sixth-rounder, going to Cleveland, the Browns sending a fourth-round pick back. And we know that the Browns are most likely going to cut him. May look to trade him, though, to see if another team is as dumb as they are. But maybe not, because they got some good picks, and they're stocked for the next few drafts. So, Jeff, let me ask you. You're NFL aficionado. You are the Shark. What did you think about this when this trade was announced by Ian Rappaport? And did you think that it was possible that the Texans could get rid of him without cutting him?
I was stunned when I saw that come up, and I almost thought it was a joke, even though I saw it on my ESPN app. Yeah, I don't really know where the Browns are going with this. I mean, like you said, they're stockpiling draft picks. I was on the phone with my brother. We were talking about free agency stuff, and he said to me, kind of like doing a Sixers thing. They're piling up draft picks. They're helping teams relieve contracts. And football, you got the ability to cut guys without really taking a financial punishment. So taking them on and getting draft picks, and maybe they find a team they can move him to. Right now, he's better than any option they have. Maybe they run him out there for the year and see what he's got. Surprising, yes, but kind of a win on both ends. Houston unloaded the space. Do they go after Tony Romo? Possible. Cleveland gets picks. And they currently have a starting quarterback. How great he is, who knows, but they've got a guy to start a quarterback.
Do you think he sees time if he stays in Cleveland?
If he stays in Cleveland, absolutely. Because they're announcing RG3 is going to get released. They don't have a lot to offer in the quarterback department there. He's on their team. He's got a contract. Might as well run him out there. It can't hurt anything. Cleveland is so bad. What's it going to hurt? I mean, they might win one game instead of two, or really, at this point. You know.
I don't know. It's interesting. So, excuse me. We also heard that, Cleveland might possibly want to trade a lot of those picks over to New England for Jimmy Garoppolo. My question to you is, are those picks enticing enough to New England to get rid of Garoppolo, since we know that they really want to trade him, hold on to him? Or is this just going to be, New England just turning him down right away?
Kind of hard. I guess it depends on how much Cleveland will offer. We've seen this happen before, though. We've seen it happen with the likes of Matt Castle. New England is more of a system. You don't really know what Garoppolo has.
Yeah.
The pick is appealing. I mean, he's not only a guy who's shown signs of success when he's briefly got to play, but he's a marketable guy. He's a good-looking guy, a big character guy. So he's somebody that's a good face of the franchise for the Browns, kind of like what they need. A player that people can look at and not only say, hey, I hope this guy's good at football, but hey, this guy's appealing as well. The Browns are just flat out ugly right now, so they need a move of some sort. I don't know how much Garoppolo is worth. I can't see going with a bunch of first-round picks and first- and second-round picks to get him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was real shocked that they were able to make the trade that they did. I was shocked that they brought in Osweiler. I was shocked that they brought in Osweiler on his deal, to be honest. I mean, the money was just insane. That's probably one of the most insane deals that I've ever seen moved in sports, to be honest. I can't really think about the last time I saw a deal like this moved without another team eating money off of the deal.
Right. The confusing thing is, too, and here you go with, they came out and they signed Kenny Britt. I don't want to jump ahead there, but they signed Kenny Britt. And they have no decision yet on Terrell Pryor, if he's staying or leaving. If I'm any wide receiver, I'm looking at Brock Osweiler and I'm saying, this is not the place for me. Yeah. Houston last year with DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins really starved in that offense with Osweiler quarterback.
Interesting stuff, man. All right, well, we're going to keep up on everything that's going on in Houston and Cleveland, of course. But let's talk about Houston now a little bit. Where do they go? Because we hear that there's a possibility they wanted to sign Tony Romo if the Dallas Cowboys cut him, and then we heard that the Dallas Cowboys were going to cut Romo, and now it's coming out that no, that report was wrong. The Cowboys aren't going to cut Tony Romo, but what they're going to do is they're going to try to trade him. Do you think Houston would give anything up for Tony Romo, knowing that if they don't, there's a possibility Dallas is just going to cut him and it's just going to cost them money and not a player or a pick or a little bit of each?
I think the intelligent move for Dallas is to try and trade him if they can. Like I said, knowing that he may be released as a GM, you kind of wait it out. You got time. It's only day one of free agency. You've got time. I think Houston. I'm watching NFL Network right now. Denver's a name that comes up again in the Tony Romo sweepstakes. I say wait him out. I mean, the guy can be valuable with two teams right there that just mentioned that have weapons.
Yeah.
So Romo's instinct, Romo's ability to play, I wait it out. Just saw news right now that Kirk Cousins has signed franchise tag.
Yep.
He returns to Washington again this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say that to you. So now with Kirk Cousins signing his franchise tag, and we know the Redskins just in the last few minutes fired their GM Scott McLaughlin due to a relapse related to alcohol, which is a shame. We never want to see anybody go out like that. Is there a possibility that Redskins can still trade Kirk Cousins because we know he wants to go to the San Francisco 49ers?
It's still a possibility, and maybe the 49ers aren't the only game in town. You sit down and you talk to Kirk Cousins and say, hey, look, got to be honest. There's a team in Denver, there's a team in Houston that need quality quarterback play. Maybe you move him there. Maybe you move him to San Fran and give him his wish. It's so wide open right now, and Cousins is a guy that deserves a little bit of respect. He's been good. He's been signing those one-year deals and playing well in Washington. He's another card in the mix, though, right now. It's getting interesting real fast.
Real fast. All right. So in just a little bit, to let all of our listeners know, we're going to be joined by Christian Lees, actor Christian Lees. He's going to be here in just a little bit. We're going to call him probably in the next couple of minutes. But here's the cool part of this. Because Christian is from the UK, this is his debut in the States to the movie and television audience. He's at somebody's house right now, so when we call him, we're probably going to have to ask for him. So this is something new here at the Stoop. This is awesome. We always have the guests call in, and they hit our switchboard. They're connected live. But because we're having these technical difficulties, we still want to bring everybody to you. So when we call, we're going to say, can we speak to Christian, please? And you're going to hear this live on air. It's going to be fun stuff. It's going to be like having a regular phone call here on the radio show.
Wow, what is that?
Isn't that great? Isn't that great?
This is why this show succeeds, because we do whatever it takes, folks. We keep it fun, and we do whatever it takes. And tonight we're going to be calling some poor 80-year-old grandma and waking her up and Christian Lees.
I hope. No. Well, the good thing is that they're on the West Coast, so it's still early there. So.
Oh, good. Okay, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, this is good stuff out over there. So in just a little bit, we're going to be joined by Christian Lees from Country Music Television's Sun Records, and we're going to get into that with Christian in just a little bit. But man, the fan base that this show has already had, and I'm going to ask him this too. We have this question ready to go for him. Is just it's getting cult-like, which is so cool, man. And I think the best thing about it is, and I see a mixture of males and females, mostly females, mostly a lot of young ones. It's introducing them to awesome music. It's introducing them to the music of Elvis, to the music of Jerry Lee Lewis, to the music of Johnny Cash, and to the music of Carl Perkins. It's great stuff. It's really great stuff. So, bearing technical difficulties, Christian is going to be joining us in just a moment. Actually, what we'll do? Well, yeah, it's just about to hit 8:15, so we're going to bring Christian in with us right now. So yes, I'm actually calling him on air, everybody. So you're probably going to hear me ask for him. So just bear with us.
Some dialing music.
Here he goes. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing.
It's ringing.
We're just waiting. Waiting to bring Christian Lees on with us.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
No, and we got the voicemail. This is great. I love it.
Didn't sound like it.
No, it didn't. It sounded like a one of those nice automated things. That was actually pretty cool. Just making sure I have the right phone number, because that would have been funny if we called the wrong person.
That would be great. We should just do that. If we can't get Christian, let's just start calling random people. I'm down for that.
That would be awesome. All right, we're gonna try one more time.
Okay.
In just a minute, just making sure I have the right phone number, because usually our tech guy does this. But no, it's me tonight doing it. So we're going to try one more time. because of everything all mixed up here with our technical difficulties, I'm the one making the phone calls tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right, we're calling Christian Lees one more time, see if we can get connected to him. And it's ringing.
Hello?
Hey, is Christian there?
This is Christian.
Christian,
Dynamite.
we finally got you. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
We are doing so good. We are live on the air. We want to first thank you for joining us, and second apologize that we're having such incredible technical difficulties here. And not only is this new for us, but you get to be a part of that, which is real cool, isn't it?
Yes, very, very exciting to be a part of these extremely beautiful technical difficulties that
Awesome.
I'm totally okay with. No, it's fine. I'm sorry I missed the call the first time. I was running to the phone and I missed it.
That's all right. We were thinking about leaving you a voicemail live on air here, and we said, you know what, we'll hang up and we'll try again.
Well, hi everybody, and thanks for having me.
No, thank you.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk about this real quick. Country Music Television, Sun Records. This is a big deal because, as Jeff and I were talking about earlier, the cult-like status that this show is gaining with the fans, especially on like the social networks like Facebook and Twitter, a lot of young females are really enjoying this show. I mean, you know, it's a mixture of both, but from what we see on Twitter, it's a lot of younger females that, you know, and it's introducing them to the music of Carl Perkins, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash,
Yeah.
and the person you portray in Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
How do you feel being a part of something like that that's introducing this incredible music to such a, you know, newer generation that doesn't know much about it?
That's a good question. And to be honest, I think it's almost reminiscent of what happened back in the 50s with the younger female fans, you know, that these guys were getting, which is kind of weird, you know. It's kind of freaky it's kind of following a similar path. I mean, obviously, back in the 50s there was no social media.
Yeah.
And, you know, they would have had to have worked a lot harder to pick things up and to pick steam and to get fans. But, yeah, we're loving the reaction that we're getting, and I'm actually getting ready to do another live tweeting session when the show airs with a few castmates, and just answering questions, and yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. It would be interesting if there was social networking back in the 50s. I would really love to see how people would have reacted to Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and stuff in the 50s, and all of that pretty much being documented, because, you know, we only got to see what we saw in newspapers and on very little TV shows back in the day. So it would have been really interesting. So
exactly. Who would have had more followers?
Yeah, right. That would have been, oh man.
Elvis.
Well, yeah, it's Elvis now, but I don't know. Johnny Cash might be right behind him on that one. So.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I'd like to think Jerry. Maybe after the show, Jerry.
I think so,
sure.
because, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm seeing him mentioned a lot more lately, which is really cool. So, you portray the killer himself, Jerry Lee Lewis, and
That's
this
right.
is your debut, you know, to a television audience in the States here. Did you ever think your debut here would be portraying such a legend? And what was your knowledge of Jerry before you took this role?
Okay, so firstly, not at all. I so humbled to be playing such a iconic American legend. I mean, it's just kind of crazy when you think about it, and it's just kind of the kind of thing that can come along when you're an actor. You know, I guess in the end of it, it doesn't matter where you're from. You're playing somebody else anyway, but you can't help but think, wow, what a privilege, you know, what a privilege I have to play such an iconic American legend. And secondly, I'm kind of ashamed to admit that I didn't know enough really about Jerry Lee Lewis and how influential he was in the birth of rock and roll. But when I got the audition, obviously I studied a lot and realized, wow, he was so integral actually in the birth of rock and roll. I mean, he was kind of the wildest one, and that's, you know, he brought the rock and roll attitude to it all.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and that was such great fun, and everybody plays the instrument, so that was a big part in my research too. Was learning his style of piano.
Which is really cool, because watching videos of you playing the piano, it's, you know, it's really like watching Jerry Lee Lewis play. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal how you can mimic his style because his style is so unique.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great to hear. Yeah, I don't, take it's just lots of hours on YouTube really, and pausing and like seeing what his pinky finger's doing there. Because it's also, as much as I'm trying to sound like him, I obviously have to look like him.
Yeah.
But also my logic is if I really look at what he's doing, I'm going to get both in one. So, it's fun. I've had a few bloody and bruised fingers along the way, but my technique's getting a little better. So hopefully that should stop soon.
Listen, you're nailing it, because if you go back to 1989, not sure if you ever saw the movie Great Balls of Fire with, a great actor in Dennis Quaid, and he did a good job. And I got to say, you, in my opinion, you have surpassed that. And
wow,
I mean, seriously, you nail it. You really do.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely, no
Thank
problem.
you.
So,
yeah, I've watched that movie more than a few times.
Yeah. Now, did you watch that when you were studying?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, before I even filmed my first audition.
Yeah.
But I mean, because it's not like Elvis, where there's so much kind of movies. I mean, there is that about Jerry. So I watched that, and then mainly documentaries. YouTube videos, interviews.
Interesting
like
stuff. But now you got a chance to meet Jerry Lee Lewis, because out of all the people that are pretty much being cast in this show, to cover all of these legendary people, he's pretty much still the only one that's around. So that's an amazing thing in itself, that you got not only to play him but to meet him. What was that meeting like, and what did he say to you?
That meeting was extremely surreal. Definitely a moment I'll never forget, because, imagine, I mean, I'd been living him for months, just watching him and listening to him, and to kind of be in his house and see him sat there in front of me was almost like a dream, because he hasn't changed. He's in his 80s, but he's the same dude. He answers it exactly the same way.
Yeah.
He's just still the killer. I mean, it was incredible. And I spoke to him for about an hour.
Oh, wow.
I would love to tell you some of the stories, but fingers crossed we get a season 2. I don't want to ruin any of that, because I feel like some of it might come in. But I can tell you that he was really sweet, which I wasn't expecting, and very humble, which I also wasn't expecting, and lovely to me, very welcoming. There was a few parallels. He's a massive fan of Coca-Cola, so am I. Not endorsing it, but...
There you go, Jen.
Yeah. And I think the best thing about the whole meeting and interview with him was about halfway through the conversation, he was like... Well, my wife showed me a video of y'all playing the piano and stuff and singing and stuff, and I think you'll do all right, son. And I just froze, because to put it into words, it's like at that point I wasn't thinking about how the audience was going to receive me. It almost didn't matter, because Jerry Lee Lewis said, "I think you're going to do all right." So
that's amazing.
To me, that was such a comforting. Okay, I could relax a little bit after that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, man. I mean,
and I think he's watching. I think
really?
he's watching the show. Yeah, I think he's watching the show. So, I just, I know his family's definitely watching, because I keep getting tweets from Jerry Lee Lewis III, who is his son, who's been nothing but great to me and supportive, and answers some questions that I sometimes have for him.
That's amazing. So now, I'm just trying to grasp that, because it's amazing that not only did you get to spend time with such a legend, but to get his pretty much his endorsement that, hey, you're gonna do good, and you said, you're sure he's watching, because I see Jerry Lee Lewis III, you and him going back and forth tweeting all the time, and he really tells you how much they're enjoying and how great you're doing. That must be just like, is that like the achievement of all achievements for you yet, or is there like, oh yeah, I hit it, I'm good. Whatever happens after this is good.
Well, you know what's weird? I did some kind of interview a year before I got the role, and it was a magazine interview. And one of the questions on the interview was, what would your dream role be? And I said, well, I would love to play a real-life person because I think that's such a challenging thing to do instead of invent a character, I'd love to play a real-life person. I also said I'd love to play a role that's set in the 50s.
Amazing.
And I've, next year, I mean, and I'm not making that up, that's just, it happened. So to me, it was like, to not only play a real-life person, but to have him still be alive, and to meet him, and to get his... you're right, it's something that if I think about too much, I'm going to, like, explode. So I'm insanely grateful and feel privileged. And, none of the other castmates get that privileged. I'm sure Drake Milligan, who plays Elvis Presley, would love to shake hands with Elvis.
Oh, absolutely.
And stuff like that, and actually Jimmy Swaggart's still alive.
Yeah, I was going to say your brother plays Jimmy Swaggart in the show, which is awesome because Jerry Lee Lewis and Jimmy Swaggart are family, so that they casted you and your brother in those roles, I think is really cool.
Yeah, it was. It was funny. I don't know if you know that we're identical twins.
Yes.
And it's a weird dynamic because if you're both actors, you both go for the same role every time because they're always looking for 5'7" brown hair,
Yeah.
And we both auditioned for Jerry Lee Lewis at first. I think I kind of had the edge because I'm a piano player. I was a piano player before I got the role, and Jonah's a guitarist. He's a great guitarist. So it was a little harder for him to adapt, but then we got an email through saying, oh, there's this role, and he's his cousin, and I don't know if you know him, but it's Jimmy Swaggart, and maybe you should just do a tape for fun. So we did a tape for fun, and we got a great response from it, and I just think it's because you can't really fake the chemistry between real family.
Definitely.
Sure.
Definitely. Is it like, with you and your brother acting in this series, and when you were making that tape, was it, I'm sure the nerves aren't there really, so is it just like, you guys are still just brothers, just having a good time doing it?
Yeah, I mean, there's always an element of nerves for me, and to me it means it's like, if I stop being nervous, I'm past caring, and I should probably stop. But
yeah.
I know what you mean, and I am comfortable acting with him, because it's like it's like when live musicians will play. They'll bring their carpets or their rugs onto stage with them to make them feel comfortable. I've heard of that before. I think John Mayer does that. And I'm not saying John is like the rug that I bring in to make me feel comfortable, but I'm saying that, of course not. No, but it was, and I won't give away what's about to happen in the show, but there's a couple of scenes where we might get a little bit physical, and, he knows my boundaries, so he's not going to hurt. He knows what to do that won't hurt me, and you couldn't necessarily do that with an actor that you're not family with.
Yeah.
It was great fun. I mean, I've worked with him once before as well in a film called The Taylor Tales, and it's hard to kind of not laugh sometimes if you're trying to be serious and think, oh, this is just my brother. It's hard to see past that. But yeah, really, really fun.
Very fun. That's really cool. So let's talk a little bit about the cast real quick. We got Chad Michael Murray, we have Carol O'Donnell, Jennifer Holland. You all of you seem so close, from some of the interviews I've seen, with, all you guys just hanging out together. How did you all form a bond like that so quick?
That's a good question. I think we were lucky, and I know that's easy thing to say, but we're just lucky that we all kind of had the same vibe. We all lived in the same apartment building. We all had, it was like block shot, so we all had a lot of breaks in between filming.
Yeah.
And we all just invited, I mean, another thing, Memphis is kind of on the up and up. It's like, because I think Memphis were really happy about that, obviously, that we filmed the show there, and they were all really excited about the show. But we were living in downtown Memphis, and we kind of used each other to kind of, like, just bond, and we stayed in the Chiska Hotel, which is actually a really historical place. Elvis stayed there, and Dewey Phillips, played by Keir O'Donnell, the real Dewey Phillips would give his radio. His radio station was at the top of the Chiska, and Keir O'Donnell stayed at the top of the Chiska where his radio station was. So it was weirdly surreal. But yeah, we just all hung out and had barbecues and played Cards Against Humanity. And
Yeah.
just had just a good time and bonded over that, I think.
That's really cool, because you always hear about some of these television shows where the dynamic between a cast really turns into a family. Do you feel like it's there already, or it's something that could really happen soon?
I think it's there. I think another reason why casts sometimes bond, and especially in our case, is that we all have not weight on our shoulders, but we all definitely have to live. We all have a tough job on our hands, especially if you're playing a real legend. That's a lot to carry, and you have to live up to that, because you want to do them justice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's something that you can bond over, because it's a very unique situation. And and also playing music together. We play music together all the time, and that's an incredibly bonding experience and just a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Our musical director Chuck Mead was fantastic, and he'd have us playing together all the time.
Well, that's great too. So now you're a musician, you're a songwriter. I'm sure a lot of these other cast members are musicians as well. So let's talk about that for a second. How did you get into music? And did you see yourself as, let's say, a famous singer before becoming an actor? My parents met in a band, and I grew up on the road with them, with my brother. So constantly surrounded by music. And I started playing piano around 14, writing songs around 14. Kind of more of like a Billy Joel kind of style, like singer-songwriter kind of style. Yeah.
Honestly, music to me is just as big a passion as acting, but it's always been acting for me. Like it's always been the thing I want to do. However, my brother, on the other hand, is a really prolific songwriter, and I do see him going into music.
Very nice.
He's definitely thinking about that, and I think he could. And I'm not excluding that I wouldn't at all.
Yeah.
But it's just, funnily enough, like you said, I'm a songwriter, but I haven't written any songs since I've got this role. Not because I haven't wanted to, but because I'm playing such a musical character that I've been so invested in learning Jerry songs and Jerry techniques that I haven't had time to really think about any other type of music.
Do you think it's hard because of the style of music you're having to play and sing while you're doing this role, that it's hard to just like put that to the side and then sit down in your house at night and pen your own stuff?
Yeah, but not that it's affected me in that way, because I mean, dude, I have a really old-fashioned playlist before I got the part. Like I listened to that kind of stuff anyway. I was weirdly a fan of Barbershop when I was younger. I had weird you know how you go through like phases?
Yes.
But they were all usually like older phases. So yeah, you could say that. I haven't been writing as much, but I have done a hell of a lot of Jerry songs.
That's amazing. That's good to know. So now we don't want to keep you because we know the episode is coming on real soon. You got a nice live tweet going on tonight. So let me ask you this: what's next for you? Are you working on any other projects outside of this, or do you hope something's coming your way soon on that end?
Yes, I am auditioning, like any other actor. Although I will say that we're all kind of hopeful. I think we've been really surprised and happy with the ratings that we've been getting and the response. So who knows? I'd love to carry on telling the story, because really you'll see the story's just getting started. So my brain is still kind of with the show.
Well, absolutely. Which is a good thing, because season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, it's going to come because, like you said, the ratings are great. But let me tell you, from our end, watching it, it's a phenomenal show. The acting, the music, it's all brilliant, brilliant stuff. But at the same time, the way you're gaining such a fan base on the outside of this show, and so quickly, that doesn't happen often. So, really, just congratulations to you and the rest of the cast on that.
Oh, thanks so much, guys. And yeah, I'm really happy you're enjoying the show. It's great to hear.
We are. So hopefully we can get you back during Season 2 and hopefully Season 3 and Season 4 and beyond. And we just want to thank you for joining us tonight. Once again, I want to apologize to you about our technical difficulties.
But
it's been great. You're a class act, and we really hope to have you again with us real soon, Christian. Thank you so much.
I'd love that. Thanks so much for having me, guys, and enjoy the show and the rest of your night.
We will. You too. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was actor Christian Lee of CMT's Sun Records. Awesome guy, let me tell you, Jeff. Class act, like I just said.
Yeah.
He's really just well spoken, but at the same time, man, learning some of that stuff, how he's such a musician, but his brother is such a prolific musician as well, and it's hard to write because of all the learning he's doing for Jerry Lee Lewis's music, and to be a young person, acting over in the United Kingdom and over in Europe, and then coming here as your debut and having to portray such a prolific character and such a prolific icon in American music, especially Jerry Lee Lewis. Come on, man.
Yeah. I got to sell it to anybody who's not watching it. Again, Sun Records on CMT. You got to check out Christian. He's a good-looking young kid. He's got that big smile on his face. Always looks like he's smiling.
Yes.
And you hear always put into it the musician end. He's got to be the musician. He's got to look like Jerry. He's got to act like Jerry. He puts it all out there. Cool, calm, collective young man. Great having him. Terrific interview. That could have went on for a while. Guys like this are root for it. Really seems to enjoy what he's doing. He's in awe of the character he's playing. And just to say that he gets the honor to meet the guy he's playing, where everybody else on the show, the guys are playing have all passed. Jerry's still around. Christian had the honor to meet him, and terrific interview. Really impressive tonight. Loved it. Thank him again for coming on.
Absolutely. And it really is just a phenomenal show. If you haven't watched it, it's on Country Music Television. There is an episode tonight, a new one, but go back somehow if you can. Whether it's on your Roku box or you're using one of the stream boxes or you have it on demand, watch it. Just going through the cast list real quick. Keir O'Donnell plays Dewey Phillips. Chad Michael Murray, who we all know, plays Sam Phillips. Drake Milligan plays Elvis Presley. Kevin Fontaine plays Johnny Cash. Christian Lees, of course, as we all know, plays Jerry Lee Lewis. And then his identical twin brother, Jonah Lees, plays Jimmy Swaggart, which is really, really cool. Listen, Johnny Cash is an icon in music here. Elvis Presley, icon. Carl Perkins, icon. Then you look at, guys like Jimmy Swaggart, Colonel Tom Parker, all of these, these big names, and they're all in this show, which is so cool because us being from the U.S., this is the history of our music. So to see everybody just grabbing onto this show and really just digging into it and making the ratings phenomenal, that makes me happy because they're not sitting there watching reality television. They're watching the history of our music, Jeff.
Yeah, it's incredible. And, like I said, there's so many legends, and it's a way to get the young generation into these legends. Like, they're watching the show, enjoying it, and they're learning about American history music as guys from the UK like Christian is. And I got to give a big shout out to the UK because they're always winners. They're always great guests of ours. All of our guests have been great, but it's like Tanya, Christian, the British had that little extra something when they come on the show.
Yeah. Great stuff. So once again, thank you to Christian Lees for joining us tonight, and for everybody that listened, thank you as well. And for everybody that hasn't watched Sun Records, watch it. Because if you don't,
Definitely.
We're going to come get you.
John will. I'm too lazy.
Jeff will be sitting here eating some mozzarella sticks, and he'll just watch it somehow. I guess we'll videotape it.
I like it. I like mozzarella sticks.
All right. So anyway, let's jump back into some NFL talk. big day in NFL. It's actually slowing down a little bit, Jeff. I don't know if you've looked at any of the Twitter accounts for Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter, but it is slowing down a little bit. Not too big. The last big news was, of course, as you mentioned earlier, Kirk Cousins will be signing his franchise tag soon, but it doesn't mean he won't be traded, so it'll be interesting. So let's flip it over. We're going to talk about your rival. You're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, the New York Giants. Two big signings. They signed wide receiver Brandon Marshall, formerly of my New York Jets, and Rhett Ellison coming today. Those are big news. Does Brandon Marshall go into the Giants make them a legitimate Super Bowl contender for next season? And be a football fan. Don't be an Eagles fan.
Absolutely not. Where I think the problem lies, the Giants will have to establish a running game.
Yeah.
Wasn't really there last year. If they can find a running game to go with all these weapons they have on offense, you mentioned Shepard, Brandon Marshall, of course, Beckham. Eli Manning at times can be shaky. They were saying on NFL Network he likes to force the ball, but we've seen Eli win Super Bowls. He's got a lot of weapons, and I liked Brandon Marshall. I would have taken him here if we didn't do the Alshon Jeffrey thing and all that from the get-go. If we targeted Marshall, I wouldn't mind having him here. Guy is a phenomenal athlete, a terrific football player.
Absolutely.
He's going to help that team a big deal. And here's the reason why. He brings a veteran know-how, leadership, and maybe a guy to get with Beckham and say, look, I had these rage issues. I've been hot on the field. And it's not getting anywhere. You got to focus on football. And together we can focus on football and try to make this team a winner. A little more calm and a little more subdued attitude at the wide receiver spot for the Giants certainly helps. It's a great addition.
Yeah,
Great addition for the Giants.
Really is a great
and
addition.
Brett Ellison is a terrific addition as well. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, they really needed a fullback, and it seems like they got a fullback tight end combo there in Rhett Ellison. Does that help their run game?
Yeah, that could definitely help the run game. That's certainly what they need. The draft is pretty stacked with running backs. So, for them to make a move at running back, draft somebody, they got that kid last year, Perkins, I believe his name is. They're starting to work him in, and he looks like a dual threat. He's got some good hands.
Yeah.
So, I want to be, I want to be closed-minded to be the Eagles guy, but the Giants got a good shot this year, and I actually think the NFC is really tough this year. I think Washington is the team that's falling apart right before our eyes.
Yeah.
Eagles, Giants, Cowboys. It's going to be a good year in the NFC East.
Absolutely. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about your Philadelphia Eagles. Three big signings, actually. All 1-year deals. Even though everybody keeps saying 3-year deal for Torrey Smith, media get it right. It's a 1-year deal with options. You're pissing me off. Wide receiver Torrey Smith. Wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey. That's pretty big for the Eagles. And guard Chance Warmack, which I think you might like a little bit better. And at the same time, they released defensive end and very classy guy, class act and a half. Great guy. Wish he can come to the Jets, Connor Barwin. Talk to us a little bit about your Eagles.
Busy day for Philly, and caught me by surprise a little bit. We went into this day talking about Kenny Britt and, who are we going to draft? And next thing you know, Torrey Smith's name came out. I'm like, okay, there's a start. Then all of a sudden, as you go through Twitter and you're watching ESPN and NFL Network, you're hearing Alshon Jeffrey. And I'm thinking to myself, are we going to go back to the same thing where the Eagles are going to get us hyped and they got a name on the hook they're trying to reel in and somebody steps up? Boom, what happens? About 3:45, Minnesota steps in and they become the front runner. In the end, Alshon Jeffrey comes here. He says he wants to grow. He believes in himself. He's going to bet on himself for this 1-year deal. Terrific. Chance Warmack, I know last year was a wash for him, but beastly kid, a big, tough, attitude kind of offensive lineman, definitely something we needed here. Some Eagle fans are skeptical, I got to tell you. These guys pan out. Even though they're 1-year deals, if these guys pan out, you've got something here, and then you get them on the books long term. Your young quarterback deserves what you got today. He deserves offensive line help. He deserves wide receiver help, veterans in the league. So Carson Wentz is the big winner today. Eagles or no Eagles, think what you want to think about their record. Carson Wentz is the big winner. He's now getting his shot to be an NFL pro with the proper weapons and some blocking in front of him.
Absolutely. So now, when they signed Torrey Smith, I know you weren't too happy about it. With the addition of Alshon Jeffrey, Do you like the signing of Torrey Smith better since it drops them down from possibly being their number 1 to their number 2 or even number 3?
I actually love it. I think it's a great fit because Torrey Smith is a guy that can play wide receiver. He's just not a leader, in my opinion. And I've never put on the cleats of an NFL player, and I've never been on an NFL field. I'm not bashing anybody with the talent to play the game. Smith will be an excellent 2. If Jordan Matthews stays and doesn't get dealt or moved, he becomes a 3, a slot, which is something he excelled in. That's what he did in college. It's what he's done well in the beginning of his NFL career. I think they put together a great 1-2-3 punch, and then you mix in Zach Ertz. The weapons are there. Of course, you got to add to the running game, as I just said before about the Giants. But if the Eagles can get a running game going with these guys spreading the ball around, it could be really big. This could be the offense that we dreamed of having last year. And if the defense comes around, we got a pretty good team on our hands.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens here in Philadelphia. All right, let's keep the ball rolling here. Let's look at the Jacksonville Jaguars are making some moves today. Another team that looks like they're starting to finally upgrade with a big deal. The cornerback, A.J. Boy, 5 years, $67.5 million deal. And then they go out and sign defensive end Calais Campbell. I believe they made a couple other moves as well, but what do you think of these two? Because these are the real big ones for Jacksonville.
I really like it. It shows that this team is heading in the right direction. They have been. They've drafted well, at least borderline well. That's what we've seen of guys like Jalen Ramsey. It looks like they're on the right track. Keys to quarterbacks got to be Blake Bortles. Guy's got to step up. He's got great wide receivers. He's got the Allens. He's got Robinson, and he's got to step up. It's got to come down to Bortles now because they're getting the players on defense. Jacksonville has a lot of talent now. It's time to get it in the right direction. I like it. I like what I see. I like to see these younger teams making their move.
But talking about Bortles now, last year really off season, but the season before he showed a lot of flashes of some good play.
He was excellent the year before, and that's what's. It was a little mind-numbing, and last year everybody wrote him off. Like, man, he's done. He never had it. Never had it. The year before, he threw 30-some touchdowns. I think he had not really wasn't a sophomore jinx. It was just a kind of a little disbelief in himself. And I think they're putting together the pieces. They got new coaching staff out there. Well, work on his mechanics a little bit, and he can definitely pick it back up. I mean, one bad year and they wash him out, and that seems to be the NFL thing now. Oh, you're bad last year. I think you're done.
Yeah.
And he gets this year to prove it. They got a lot of money invested, so this is going to be his big year.
But think about it. Mark Sanchez, awesome first 2 seasons, 2 AFC championship games, 9 touchdowns in 6 playoff games. And look what happened there. So it really goes around, not saying that Bortles is better or worse than Mark Sanchez. I'm just saying that teams have the knack for ruining their quarterbacks.
Very true. It becomes situational. And we talked the other day, and a guy that we're not really locking in with free agents because he signed with his old team, and that's Tyrod Taylor. You were livid about the possibility of Tyrod Taylor becoming a Jet.
Agree.
And I understand why. It's formula. It's systematic.
Because the system is so bad, he's not going to do anything here for the New York Jets.
He can't. There's no way. The scheme is not for him.
No.
The scheme in Buffalo is for him, and with the talent around him, like I said, LaShawn McCoy, they really work well with each other. I'm not saying that Taylor is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think they're a little better than the record last year. I still think they could be 8-9 win football team as he progresses. But that's the proper home for him. And if you're not in the right system, it doesn't make a difference how good you are.
No.
It won't matter.
No. And I agree. Tyrod Taylor could be a good quarterback. But at the same time, I want my Jets to stick with Geno Smith, Bryce Petty, or bring in somebody,
Jay Cutler.
To be honest, like Jay Cutler. You know why? Because as miserable as the team is going to be, and as poor play they're going to get from the quarterback position, which it's going to happen. I don't care who they bring in because the team is just going towards rebuild, and that's how I feel. We need that to happen in order to get rid of the regime we have. That's how I feel. Don't get the players' hopes up. Don't get the fans' hopes up by saying, "Oh, we're going to bring in Tony Romo." No, it's not going to do anything. Don't bring in Tony Romo when you just let go of Brandon Marshall.
Exactly.
You don't bring in a good quarterback when you get rid of your best target, and you really don't have many good targets after that. Yeah, I like a couple of their options. Decker's decent. Anun was good. We'll just see what happens there, but that was a little off target. So let's jump back into a couple of things. All right, so we know the Chicago Bears have released quarterback Jay Cutler, which he's most likely going to be Jets bound, which I'm okay with that, to be honest. But the Bears signed backup quarterback Mike Glennon to a 3-year, $18.5 million deal. What is going on in Chicago, dude?
Really not sure. I want to come right out and say, first off, that I do like Mike Glennon. Doesn't mean he's a big winner or he's going to be a great NFL quarterback. We talked about his record before we got on the air, 5-13 as a starter. But the Tampa Bay team really wasn't quite there when he was playing.
Well, yeah.
Big, tall guy. Absolute cannon of an arm. The guy can really deliver it.
Oh, yeah, he can.
But his problem, and something that Jay Cutler did have, was the ability to roll out and be a little bit mobile. He's got no mobility. And this team has a poor offensive line. This guy's going to be in a little bit of trouble if they can't block for him.
Well, now here we go, too, talking about that. They just lost their best target in Alshon Jeffrey going to the Eagles. Why give a quarterback that much money when you don't really have insanely good targets? I mean, yeah, Cameron Meredith is decent. Kevin White is good when he's healthy. So, Josh Bellamy, I believe, is there. I'm not entirely sure who their tight end is. I think it's Daniel Brown or somebody like that. I'm not really sure what's going on in Chicago in that aspect. Not even sure who their running back is, to be honest, after Forte left for the Jets last season.
It's a very good one, though. A good one in Juwan Howard, who came up last year, and he's a good receiving back. So he's very Forte-esque, which does help this situation. But, yeah, wide receiver, I mean, Meredith had flashes of playing well last year. White's been hurt, a high draft pick who's been hurt. It doesn't make sense to go out. You could have kept Brian Hoyer instead of going out and getting a guy and paying him this much money.
Well, Brian Hoyer's with the 49ers now.
Yeah.
And Matt Barkley's not there anymore either, right? He's a free agent, so who knows where he's... That's a guy. That's, Matt Barkley, he actually put up some decent numbers. Besides the interceptions, and, the O-line is sketchy, so I don't really blame him on that. He showed some good flashes there.
Sure did. And we talk about guys that disappear. It's funny, Matt Barkley, him and Nick Foles, met them both when they were in Philly. Met them both downtown when they were Philly guys. They both liked it here. And,
Nick Foles. I forgot he's a free agent. I want Nick Foles on the Jets. That's You know what? You know me. I've been a big advocate of Nick Foles coming to the Jets since he's been an Eagle. So
I like Nick Foles. I think there's a guy that deserves a real shot. Not with the Rams, and not with a half-hearted, no wide receiver having team. Get a guy like Nick Foles a place to play with a few weapons. Come on, the 27 touchdown, 2 interception thing he did here in Philly might have been a little fluke-ish overall, but you don't just do that by just showing up. It takes some skill. It takes a little bit of talent. And I think the guy deserves a shot. It's not a bad pickup for the Jets. You can get him relatively cheap compared to what they're going to do if they go out and get a Jay Cutler.
Yeah. All right, Ravens have just locked up nose tackle Brandon Williamson. $54 million for 5 years for a nose tackle.
Wow. It's getting at there. Run stuffing and the big guys in the middle have become a little more important. I think that the Patriots and Bill Belichick always likes having that big body in the middle, and that kind of became the prototype. Philly did it here, of course, with Fletcher Cox, who's getting a ton of money. And these guys are getting a ton of money, and you got to stop the run. Stopping the run's become key again. I know it's a passing league, but if you can do both, it makes your team so dangerous. So, yeah, I mean, good signing for the Ravens. They also went out today and added a nice little piece in Danny Woodhead. I know he's 9 years in, but the guy's a nice little asset. He's a good ball player.
When healthy, that's going to be big for them.
When healthy, absolutely, and that's the key. And he was killing it in San Diego when he was healthy. Guys like that, you got to get ball players. You can't just let's get superstars. You got to get a little sprinkle of everything. And the Ravens did it well.
See what happens there. All right, so, a lot of moves today, a lot of people getting thrown around. Buffalo Bills signed kicker Steve Hauska. San Diego Chargers signed offensive tackle Russell Okung to a 4-year, $53 million deal. Saints signed defensive tackle Nick Fairley, 4 years, $30 million. We spoke about that earlier. Tampa signing wide receiver Deshaun Jackson. How do you feel about that move for Tampa Bay?
I'll go out again. We kind of touched back to the Torrey Smith thing. Deshaun Jackson is no longer going to be anybody's number one. He never really had staggering number one numbers. His highest receiving total was 70. So I think you get his speed, his deep threat ability. He's got good hands. You mix him in with a quickly becoming one of the best in the game and Mike Evans.
Absolutely.
It becomes a terrific lineup. And Jameis Winston lucks out here. He had been lobbying for Jackson. He said he needs a true, legit speed guy downfield. He's got it. He's got a big, monstrous, terrific hands, make any catch guy in Evans. The run game is still there. Tampa's defense showed last year they're coming around. So Tampa is going to become a force. It's a scary team right now. And in a tough division with Atlanta, might have a new team in town. It's going to be good. Tampa is going to be exciting to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my good buddy Dayon. That's his favorite team, so I'm sure he's happy about that tonight. So we've, a lot of moves, a lot of, one trade, which I didn't think we'd see a trade today, to be honest. So let me ask you this. Give me one move that was, you think, the biggest move of the day in your mind, and one move that was pretty much a brain-dead one.
I know we touched on a lot. I'm still a little confused by the whole Cleveland Brown thing. Like I said, I'm sure an answer is coming somewhere. I don't really know what it is. The Brock Osweiler thing is so confusing. A winning move, I got to go with New England getting Stephon Gilmore, and here's the reason why. Gilmore is a quality defensive back. It now kind of gives them a little bit of leverage as to what they do with Malcolm Butler. If Butler leaves, you still have a top-notch corner. They can always trade Butler for Brandon Cooks. That's a rumor that's getting hot. And if you can sign him, they got two good corners. So I think it's a winner for them to get and actually show that they're willing to lay out a lot of money. They're the Patriots that do everything well. Big piece for them in getting Gilmore today. I like that very much.
Yeah, that is a big one. So now, Cleveland acquiring Brock Osweiler is your brain dead one. And I got to say, that's actually, the more I look at it, and the more I realize that what Cleveland just did was kind of a Moneyball type trade. You have to wonder if that's going to be something new in the National Football League. If we're going to start seeing baseball and NBA-like trades now start breaking out where players are going to start getting moved from team to team to team to team so other teams can acquire picks. It's kind of interesting. So I wouldn't call that my brain dead move. Hard for me to say what my brain dead move of the day was. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears and Mike Glennon.
I know you're feisty on that. I know you're not big on that. I figured that was coming.
That's really, that's not sitting well with me. I don't know why. The best move, and it wasn't even today, I'm going to go with yesterday with the Giants signing Brandon Marshall. So far, I think that is the signing of free agency so far where you can look at a team and say, wow, if they don't make the Super Bowl with a healthy roster like that, especially if they turn around and get Adrian Peterson now. Real interesting stuff, Jeff.
Hey, he's out there. He's one of the names that's floating around. Adrian Peterson builds some drama. Tony Romo builds some drama. This thing's far from over. We had a good day one. We had some exciting news, but there was a lot to come before this free agency thing is all said and done.
Absolutely. It's good times. And if everybody listening right now is an NFL fan, the best people you can follow, especially on Twitter, is Ian Rappaport, at Rap Sheet, who has been really just killing it today with the free agent moves and the waves and the trades and the whatnot. And then second, you go with Adam Schefter at Adam Schefter, two of the best in breaking the news on what's going on in the NFL today and going forward. There's going to be a lot of stuff leaking overnight. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out tomorrow. It's going to be a real fun time, Jeff. So
yeah, and if you're looking for one more football guy to follow on Facebook, follow the Black Adam Schefter. That is just hilarious stuff.
The Black Adam Schefter is funny, but let me tell you, he put some good stuff. I give him props. All right, so we will be back on Tuesday, March 21st at 8 p.m. May be live, it may be not. If our technical difficulty's still going, it's probably going to be a pre-recorded program. But we will be joined by former NBA player Maurice Evans to talk about his career in the NBA, as well as what he's doing now after the NBA. Entrepreneur, running businesses in the business world. So we're going to find out, what that is and how the switch up was coming, from being an athlete your whole life to all of a sudden, boom, guess what? You're not an athlete as much anymore. So what do you do? And to jump into a different occupation. So we're going to be talking to Maurice about that. And that's 2 Tuesdays from now. Before we leave, I want to send out a big thank you to actor Christian Lees for joining us tonight and for being a trooper with our technical difficulties. He is a class act and a half. And if you haven't watched Sun Records on country music television, I don't know what you're waiting for. Watch it. It's an absolutely phenomenal show. And we couldn't be happier that we had Christian with us tonight. I know Jeff's thrilled. You can just hear it in his voice because look at that. Pure excitement over there.
Selling it. You can sell it. You can feel the excitement oozing through the speakers.
Yeah, he's more into the NFL stuff right now. He's just sitting here. He's watching the monitors. He's having himself a good time.
He's flipping his fingers and typing and cell phoning, and I need one of them gigs, Adam Schefter, Rappaport type gigs.
All right. Well,
next year on the stoop.
There you go. So let's wrap up the show because it's burger night. Jeff's got to go have himself some burgers.
Yeah, it's the Thursday night burger special at the Hugo Inn, local watering hole, if you will. The missus is already there, hanging out with some friends. But you know what? I'm here for the show. And my one friend, real quick, my one friend Cindy texted me and she said, burger night. And I said, well, got a show tonight. She said, the show must go on.
What a trooper
absolutely.
You are, man.
Show's first.
You're a trooper.
Gonna be burgers. I am a Starship Trooper. I'm a Suzu Trooper.
You're more like Jefferson Starship than you are a Starship Trooper.
Oh,
all right. Well, thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in tonight, and you can catch us again 2 Tuesdays from now. I'll be joined by former NBA player Maurice Evans, and once again, thank you to actor Christian Lees for joining us tonight. You can check him out at Twitter at Christian Lees, and also check out Sun Records from the Country Music Television channel. Great show. So for Jeff Porrini, I'm Jonathan Ragus. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you in a few weeks. Thank you for tuning in. Don't be a douche.